This is Jonathan Lane from Fan Film Factor, and this is the very first ever Zoom interview with fan filmmakers. And to help me kick it off, my very first Zoom call, I have the movers and shakers from the Czech Republic who have just come out with the fan film Squadron, which if you haven't watched it yet, stop whatever you're doing, pause this video, go watch it. I'm going to have a link to Squadron in the video information. If you're reading it on the blog, just watch we're going to spoil it for you. It's just going to happen. But it's okay because it's an awesome, awesome fan film. It's Deep Space Nine era. There's a Vorta, there's Jem'Hadar, there's Vulcan, there's Andorian, everything. You guys have just done a fantastic job. So first of all, let me congratulate you on getting this project done. It does look awesome. Let's introduce everybody one by one. Ladies first. Let's start out with Teresa Junova. Do I have that pronunciation correct?
Oh, actually, in Czech we say it like Junova.
That's right, Junova.
It's okay.
That I'm going to get everything wrong. It's just going to happen. Your
it's
English
normally Czech
infinitely better than my Czech. So anyway, Teresa, you are. Is it Teresa? It's Teresa.
Yeah, but Teresa is okay. I'm used to from work.
So you are the director as well as playing the very, very sexy Vulcan, T'Plor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see. Let's go to the top here. Jan, and I was told that his last name is pronounced Katoch. Okay. And you are the writer of this. You are also, we'll discuss this later, you're also a real writer. You were a published author with sci-fi books, which is really cool. And you also played a fallen crewman.
I have a cameo there.
And let's see, right next to you, we've got Michael. Michael's last name is Husak.
Oh, cool. Right.
Did I get it?
Yeah, you get it right.
And you were the Admiral, Admiral Jens Nansen. And you were also a graphic designer. And one of the things about Squadron is that your materials for your Indiegogo campaign and basically for everything else that got uploaded to Facebook, your social media stuff has been awesome looking. And you also designed the LCARS graphics for the bridge. We'll get to that in a little bit as well, because that bridge set we have to talk about. Then in the middle square, the center square, is Andrew. Let's see, Andra's last name is Vodichka.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Oh, man, I'm getting this. I'm ready to go to Prague, guys. I really am. By the way, my wife's parents, they've traveled all throughout Europe in their retirement years. They say that Praha is their absolute favorite city in all of Europe. So I'm definitely coming to visit once this world stops being contagious. And I want you guys to show me around. Anyway, so Andra was the director of photography. This is an awesome looking episode. He was also their cameraman and their editor. And then we have Yana and Yana Peklova.
Petslova, yes.
Petlova, okay. Okay, and you were the sexy Vorta, even more sexy than the Vulcan. You were the sexy Vorta in Rena.
Thank you, yes.
You're also a costumer there in the Czech Republic and a cosplayer.
Yes.
And last but not least, in the bottom square, Jakub, the first of you Czech folks who ever contacted me, Jakub Holly. And before we started this, just before, we noticed that Jakub had a nice little halo around his head. So it's Holy, Jacob Holly. You are now officially holy with your halo. And Jakub you're the executive producer. You were the person who was behind the Indiegogo campaign. And you also played Captain DeSantis. And you are apparently the biggest prop collector in all of the Czech Republic. Is that correct?
That's correct. I would adjust it a little bit. I'm the biggest prop collector of screen used props and costumes, and it's quite easy because no one else collects this stuff. So I'm the only one, and that makes me the biggest one.
All righty. So you're basically, the biggest penguin in the Sahara Desert.
Yes.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, once again, congratulations so much on this really amazing fan film. The first thing I want to ask you about is this amazing bridge set that you used. And for folks that don't know, there's actually a lot of people in the Czech Republic who have made fan films on this bridge. There was Victoria Solodova, Victoria Film. She made Mysterious Odyssey on it. And there was FS Films, and that's Radek Belina. He made Patriot, Taste of Apocalypse, Her Prerogative, which was a really disturbing fan film, very unusual fan film that at some point I'll be covering the stuff that he's done as well, but you were my first checks. He also did The Electric Castle recently. And then there was also Diplomacy. That was like one of the first ones you guys did on this bridge. And I know that some of you guys were in Diplomacy. Who raise your hand if you were in Diplomacy?
Weren't or
Where?
If you were.
where? Okay.
Were. So yeah. So anyway, this bridge has gotten a lot of use. So can you tell us, who would like to tell us a little bit about how this bridge set came to be?
That will probably fall to me. Long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a few years ago, there was 4 friends who decided that they invest their money and time and everything to building this bridge, and to start shooting on it. And that's what happened. And in the meantime, we kind of split into 2 groups, and each of those groups have a different kind of views and different opinions on how to run it and what to shoot at it. So we kind of split, and that's pretty much it. And it's now being, it's now being run by the FS Film.
Okay, now wanting to concentrate more on the origin story of the bridge, though, how long did it take to build that thing? And what year did you start?
Does anyone remember that?
Was it 3 years?
I think it was. No. Yeah, I think it took.
Building or over 2 years, definitely.
More than 2 years, definitely. It was like from the first idea to first shot, I guess. Yeah, it was a long work, and it was our friend Karel that actually spent most of the hours there tinkering with everything, because he was doing the masks for Squadron. They are perfect. He's now professional. He wasn't when he was doing the Squadron yet, but then he moved to making props for movies, and he's really awesome and skillful. So he actually designed like half of the bridge. I designed the rest of it, like the first pitch of the space, and he just managed to complete everything and final touches and model everything, put their lights, and came with the idea how to composite the LCARs to a physical form. So yeah, he actually spent there most of the hours, and during those 2 years, I guess.
How did you make those LCARs? Because I mean, they glow, but I know it's very difficult to get LCARs to glow and the blacks to stay black. How did you guys do that?
It's special printing. The foil is printed both sides. From one side, it's the full color with black, and from the back there is a white print that only covers the black parts. So that means that the black parts are double printed, and only the color are transparent enough to let the light through. And then there is another layer of transparent plexi.
Now you also have your engineering cutaway shot of the ship, which kind of limits the 3D outside images that you can use, because you have a specific kind of class of ship. So how did you guys decide that was going to be your ship type?
I think that the decision came because this bridge of this particular ship, class of ships, was never shown. So I think that Michael will back me up on that. That we kind of didn't want to, we wanted to do something original which will fit the space and something that no one knew. So that was probably the biggest reason, wasn't it, Michael?
Yeah, the biggest reason was because it was never seen on the screen. So we could create anything. And the screen, the bridge should originally be much more bigger, but there was not enough space in the room. So we have to kind of squeeze it into the room. It's really wall to wall. There's no space behind the bridge. So yeah, that actually defined the size of the bridge. The space that we have, we used it to its maximum.
You were before asking for the date, so I just had to pull out some presentation to remember it. But it all started in the spring of 2014, when we kind of start looking for the proper space, which we found in a nursery school about 50 kilometers from Prague, so in a small village. And then the build itself, we kind of built it into two phases. So the phase one was the back of the bridge, like split in half. And that took from the fall of 2014 until the end of 2015. And then the other half of the bridge was like a half year of 2016. So it was finished by the middle of 2016. So it was nearly 2 years.
Just in time for the guidelines to come out.
Yes, the guidelines were a big step back for the diplomacy, and the whole project kind of really suffered from that a lot. But that's what happens. Like, you can't expect that these things would happen like ever.
Yeah, but you guys have done a pretty good job of keeping, to the guideline limitations. You didn't raise more money than you needed to. Certainly didn't go over the $50,000 limit with your crowdfunding campaign, and your runtime is I think it's total less than the 30-minute limit, right?
I think it's total 27, even with subtitles.
Yeah, so you're all good, and honestly, CBS isn't coming after people who are like at 36 or 38 minutes or anything like that either. So I think you're all good. Let me pardon me. Let me just ask one more final question on the ship class. Did you do your cutaway before you designed the 3D, or before somebody designed the 3D outer ship for you, or did you have the 3D outer ship and then you designed your cutaway based on that?
You mean the master situation diagram at the back of the bridge?
Yeah.
Or what do you mean?
Well, so you have that Minneapolis class, or whatever the class of ship it is. There's a cutaway.
It's the class was existing. I think it was in First Contact.
Yeah, it was in First Contact and in some of the background shots in Deep Space Nine in the big battle scenes.
Oh, I didn't realize that ship had already existed.
It's a canon class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's called Norway class. It's Norway class.
Oh, okay. I need to give up my trivia expert card because I did not know that. So, all right. Well, let's move on to the writer first. Jan, first of all, you are a writer. You've written how many novels?
I have 16 novels out in Czech language, and my third novel would come out in English actually next week.
Oh, awesome. Now, next week is actually 2 weeks ago because we're recording this, early.
The end of January, let's say. Yeah.
There you go. Sorry, now people know our secret. We're not actually recording this on the day it came out. Here's another bit of the secret, by the way, for you guys. It is we started at 1:00 afternoon time here in Los Angeles. That was 10:00 there in the Czech Republic PM. And you guys have a 9:00 curfew. Is that correct? Is that still on?
Yeah, I think so.
And that's all because of Corona, right? I'm going to interrupt really quickly because I'm kind of curious how are things on the coronavirus, in your country right now?
Well,
it's a curfew, but nobody knows for sure because it's total chaos here.
Yeah,
it changes so rapidly that nobody is able to keep track.
But what actually surprised me a few weeks ago is I got a text message from a guy I met in America once about 7 years ago, and he said, "Hi, you probably don't remember me, but I saw in the news how bad it is in the Czech Republic. How are you?" And I seen this person like once. So
let's put it this way, as our prime minister says, we were best in COVID. That's what he said in the summer and spring. Well, now we're worst in COVID. So, you know, these things happen. So
yeah, and I remember because I was talking to Jakub over the summer, and you know they were partying in Prague, and everything was great, and you know we were shutting down or not shutting down depending on where in the America you were. And I know the things have gotten really bad for you recently. Are you guys going to be getting vaccines soon? Are there vaccines in the Czech Republic? We don't hear stuff like this in America.
Some people are already getting them, like the doctors and elderly.
The elderly.
Yeah, we're trying to get the elderly as well. Our rollout did not go quite as well to begin with. So we're trying to fix that now after January 20th. So hopefully we'll get better. All right. Anyway, back to sci-fi and fan films and sci-fi authors and whatever. So Jan, your sci-fi novels, are you being published by a professional publishing company? Or are these books that are in
Czech Republic? I have 2 professional publishers. So it's called trad publishing, like traditional publishing, and on the English-speaking market, I'm going indie or independent publishing so far, and that's what I do.
Well, that's awesome. So you decided out of the blue you wanted to write a fan film. How did that happen?
The guys came to me and basically said, we've been doing, and at that time I think it was Jakub and the whole group, and they said we want to try something else than diplomacy, and we want something with more action and maybe something more dramatic. And I think Jakub said he would like something like The Wrath of Khan, and I said okay. And I actually like Wrath of Khan, and I've probably seen it with Nicholas Meyer commentaries more than I've seen the movie itself. And for those of you who don't know, Nicholas Meyer is the director and screenwriter of The Wrath of Khan and some other projects as well. Anyway, so we wanted to write some action, and I was excited about that. But we only had the bridge set and the captain's ready room set, And I said, well, what is good about Wrath of Khan and all the naval movies and submarine movies is that we have cuts like from ship A to ship B, and that's where the idea of having a squadron of ships which are of the same type, so we can use the same bridge, come from.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I decided to use squadron of 4 ships where, slight spoiler, one of the ships gets hijacked by the Dominion, by our lovely Vorta here. Yeah, and this fights against the other ships, so we can do this movie cuts, and we can still use the same bridge set. And I also, on the character level, I wanted to have an admiral as the main character, because in most Star Trek shows, the admirals are more or less the antagonists. Like they come to the ship and boss everyone around, and they always end up being wrong. So I said, well, let's have this Michal's character be the admiral and be right all the time, and greatly annoy the captain.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that it wasn't just the battle. There's a lot of fan films out there for whom it's about what happens. This happened, then this happened, then this happened. And then there are some other fan films there that are like, this happened and then they reacted. This happened and then they reacted. And, I'm not trying to say one kind of fan film is better than the other, but I think that there is so much room to develop characters when the things that happened have repercussions, that we actually see people dealing with them. I have the same issue with Discovery. My first 2 seasons of Discovery, I felt like there was never an opportunity for the characters to really breathe, that things would happen, and then you'd just be rushing to get to the next beat, and then that beat would happen, and then everybody would be rushing to get to the next beat. So I like that, the pacing. When you watch Squadron, it's obviously a fan film, but as fan films go, the story of it, to really see some of these interactions between some of the characters, and specifically, the Admiral and the Captain and the Vorta and the Vulcan, really kind of keep it going. It really keeps you invested in what's going on there. So really excellent job on that. Let me move on to, just in time for Teresa to drink some water. I'm going to vamp a little bit to give her a chance to clear her voice there. But Teresa, so you are the director, obviously the arguably most important job on the film. I know everybody has an important job, but you were the one who got this script and had to say, okay, I need to make a movie now. So well, first of all, how did you get roped into this? How did they convince you to be the director? And then what did you do once you were?
Well, actually, I was at the beginning, I was involved just like the actors. I was supposed to be the Vulcan. And like in summer 2018, which was, I think, a year after the script actually was written, right? Mm-hmm. Then I was asked if I would be willing to be a director. To be honest, at first, my first idea, no way, you're mad. But in the end, I said, why not? It's a challenge. It's something I can try. And I would like to see the movie be finished or be realized, because I like the script definitely. So I just said, why not? Because I know the guys, I know how they work. So that's what it actually.
Now, did you meet everybody on the diplomacy shoot, or were you friends before that?
Yes, I was working on the diplomacy as well. I had one small role in the first episode. So I had some experience, just I was helping with the script, etc., etc. So that was also helpful. And I know, other people who were helping us, even Xil, Jana Krčmářová, for instance, who is a big person in Czech fan film at all. So she was participating on, I believe, almost every fan film, Czech fan film. So her experience was really helpful. And the other people as well. Actually, just few of them were new for me.
So you agreed to direct this. What did you do next? What did you do first? What did you to prepare? And then once you were on set, what were you doing?
Actually, absolutely first thing was that I needed gem hunters, because without them, it would be pointless, to star at all. So it was the biggest challenge, because to find two tall guys willing to be in the mask all day and able to act. So this was, I think, for me, the biggest, I don't want to say problem, but I needed to
challenge.
sort it. Yes, because without that, it could take a lot of time. So, and time, why to spend work on something when you don't know if it will go on. So that was the first step actually during the summer. So I found these two and they agreed. So actually,
how did you find them? How did you look for big Czech actors?
It was, they both are from fandom. Not really Trekkies, or one of them partially, and the other one is very known because he has really many costumes, cosplays. For instance, even Chewbacca, so
yeah,
he's really tall. And
Captain America.
Captain America and Groot.
Captain America.
He really has the tree stuff, so he's awesome. So he's definitely was. I knew that he will be, or I believe he will be definitely willing to put on the mask, because he's obviously a fan of it. And the second guy, I knew him even from a theater fan film we used to have. And you know, those friends. So I know him a little bit, and he agreed as well. So I was lucky.
All right, so you've got 2 Jem'Hadar. That's step 1. What's step 2? What did you do next?
Next, well, I partially was asking other people for the roles and started to prepare really the plan, working on the script, because I get some last version which still needed some shortcuts or short cuts. Sorry.
You need to make it shorter, yeah.
Yes, make it shorter because of the
Now,
guidelines.
did you make it? Yeah, guidelines. Okay, because
yeah, especially. So it was step 2. I have discussed it even with Jan and even with guys, because Jakub and Karel were working on it previously. So it was like about the discussion. And so I was also working partially already on the timings, because when I was reading him, I was like trying to, you know, read it and estimate how long it will take, because there will be some pause, there will be some scene without, you know, CGIs and etc. So it was the second step of it. And also, of course, looking for costumes or how to make them, or what do we have, or what we are able to get, and the props and the masks, of course. And it was like slightly related to each other, because, for instance, the masks in the original script, there was also denobulan. How do you say that? Denobulan. But only just for in one scene, which was like my first officer. I mean, in the movie. But you know, it's a really big mask again, so expensive, too much time to put it on during the shooting, etc., and expensive. We said that, I think. So we just decided that we will cut this scene. So I asked the script writer and the writer and the author and the big guy in one to you know, figure it out how to like to put it there, because it was key for the you know, for the points that he is the Nobulon, you know, so it has to be at least mentioned somehow, which we did.
No, you worked it in pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't even miss him. I didn't miss seeing the Denobulin. I would have liked to see the Denobulin.
No one misses a Denobulin, you know. He will not be missed.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to say, I don't think we've actually seen a Denobulin in any fan film, but you're the first one that I've seen that has even mentioned one. So, you know.
And I believe Teresa also asked me if I would mind if we switched the gender of one of the captains.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the Andorian was supposed to be male originally, but then because of the actress availability, we switched it to female.
Exactly, because actually she even in past, in the, I think it was in hidden stories or where, because she already had like the mold stuff, and she partially had the mask already done, so it was like easier and cheaper to reuse it for her, and even the role, I think, fit her in Global, because I know her, it's a friend, and she really likes, in my mind, she was really like the captain we needed. So it was perfect choice, you know, from any way. So that's, I wanted just to confirm with writer if it's not a problem for him. And it wasn't, definitely.
Oh, who the heck cares there? But and then you blew her up.
Yeah.
You know, which, by the way, going
like USS Red Shirt, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is, you know, as you're watching this, it's called Squadron, and then by the end of part 1 or whatever, you know, you blow up one of the ships. So, you know, you know, kudos to you for.
That's what my books are about as well. I blow shit up, you know.
Actually, that's a funny story, Hanzo. He is taking names of his friends to kill them in his books.
Yeah, that's true. I do that, but
you can't kill your friends. Who can you kill, right?
Yeah, well, it's called in English. It's called either redshirting or turquoisization, and I do it. Many authors do it. It's a funny way and to honor your friends. the only bad thing that happened was like 10 years ago when some friend asked me to redshirt her very unpopular university teacher, and he ended up dying in the real world as well. But well, he was in his 80s, so let's hope it was not my fault.
I don't know if you guys, because obviously your Deep Space Nine, Dominion War thing, but I don't know. Did you see the Deep Space Nine documentary? What We Left Behind? Did you guys see that? You might not have.
Raise your hand. Who did?
Okay, well, anyway, it was a crowd-funded documentary film, and if you can get your hands on it in some way, maybe ask Jakub for it. It was basically.
Actually, I think Hansa has my Blu-ray or DVD.
Yeah, I think I have it somewhere, and I haven't watched it yet, but I can return it to you.
It's totally worth watching. But here's the thing. So at that point, all of the surviving cast, all of the cast of Deep Space Nine was still surviving. Everybody was still alive. And so as part of this documentary that Ira Bear did, they got the writers back together to basically brainstorm a season 8. And they brainstormed this amazing first episode into the rest of the season of season 8 of what it would look like. And it was just amazing to watch the writers do it. It's about a 15-minute clip. But one of the things that they decided to do was to have Nog take a ship back through the wormhole. And just as he's coming in, the ship is destroyed. And they kill Nog, in the first teaser, the first 5 seconds. And it was.
And then the actor died in the real world.
And then Aaron Eisenberg actually died, and I was like, okay, that that was creepy.
People also ask me what came to how I named the 4 ships the way I did, and I usually don't think too much about the names. I got instructions that this class of ships needs to be named after cities. Okay, whatever. So I have lots of friends in Minneapolis, so that the flagship was Minneapolis. I have friends in San Jose, so that's San Jose, California. So I've named, and the other one San Jose. I think the next one is Nuuk, which is a city in Greenland, where I
didn't know there were cities in Greenland.
Yeah, there's when I was working in a publishing house, I was editing a book by Czech couples who live in the past 20 years in Greenland, and so I knew about Greenland, I knew about Nuuk. And then Luanda, I just like the name. Luanda is the capital of Angola, which probably only Anna knows because she's the.
I didn't know that, so but that's cool. Okay, well now we know what the ships' names are. All right, so we're going to transition from Teresa over to Andra, but we're going to do it kind of in concert because we're moving in from pre-production now to production. And obviously, not only the cameraman, but the director of photography, it is your job to make sure that these 4 different bridges look different, even though they're all the same set. And first of all, for Andra, how closely were you working with Teresa as you were doing your job as director of photography, or was she basically just saying, okay, you do your stuff and I'll work with the actors and get everything else done?
In my opinion, it was kind of a collaboration between us. And I think that we, created everything together. I had some vision how the shots should look, how the sets should look. We have we didn't have so many options to do something with a set because it's just one set. We have four ships, and so we decided to change it by the colors and by the people, and that was just the only option we could do to make 4 different bridges. So that was basically that. And I think it was pretty good collaboration between us. So, Teresa?
I sometimes felt like we said in the movie, like the Admiral said how and where, and Captain said how. So I just told him what we need to do, and he said how we are going to do. I think it works perfectly.
So basically, you were Picard and he was Riker.
Sorry, what was the first word?
Oh, you were Picard and he was Riker. I like to say that, you know, on Star Trek: The Next Generation, there's a lot of times where like Picard would give the order and then everybody would look at Riker and Riker would say, yeah, do what he said. And everybody goes, oh, okay, now we can do it.
I would say that Ondra is much more useful than a Riker is during the whole 7 seasons.
Definitely. I think we were both more like a Picard then, because it was really, you know, it was really like two different things and putting together. So, you know, I don't have the eye, I don't have the experience. So it was really more about like explaining what the scene is about and what's like the point of the story. I mean, now the story of the scene, not the global, of course, etc. And what should be happening there. And he was immediately like picturing it, and but he should say so. I was just staring like on a how to say it, you know, when you watch really artists to work, it's amazing, and I love it because something is going to happen. And I believe, and now I know what he had in his mind because I haven't worked with him previously. He was one of the guys I know for the first time just because of this project. So now when it's like moving on, so then I even from my memory, I recall some things, and I believe that Ondra, you can confirm probably that he already saw the final, you know, which was for me like a mystery, because sometimes even the shots which, you know, people, I remember that there was a scene where Michal and Jakub were like talking to each other, but they were in real like a crossing, you know, they were really not in front of each other. But in the final scene, it looks amazing. So even such tricks, you know, it was really great.
Yeah,
it's
Andra,
like he should be talking.
Yeah, Andra, I was going to lead into that for just a quick second. Yeah, so, you know, the fact that you were both DP and also editor, my guess is that as you were making your shots, you were picturing yourself in the editing booth, knowing what you were going to need. Was that right?
Yeah, it's like that's the way I work, like in a general, you know, when I'm shooting something, I don't see it like from the perspective, when you are on a set and you are looking on a set and you see actors, you see the camera and everything like that, it's just some kind of different perspective, and you see it like that. But when I imagining the scene, I already see the final picture. You know, I all the time I'm looking, you know, through the viewfinder of the camera. That's everything. So I don't see it like from a normal perspective, but all the time I'm looking at the scene like through the viewfinder. That's it.
It was Ondra's awesome experience because we really don't have that, and we didn't believe him that it would look good. You know, when we stand with Jakub nose to nose, we felt weird, and on the camera, when we saw the shot, we were amazed how good it looks. It's unbelievable. So kudos, Ondra, that really it's awesome. I was surprised.
Thanks. That's about the perspective. Yeah, you from in a camera it's different, you know. That's all.
Yeah, I was watching one of the Blu-rays of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and there was I think it was a comment by Jonathan Frakes, who actor turned director, and he said, you know, when he used to be staged and, you know, on a mark, and he was like literally right next to Patrick, you know, and the two of them are standing like, as you said, nose to nose. You know, we would never stand like this in reality. You always give persons personal space, but, you know, especially back when they were still filming a 4:3 aspect ratio back then. And he said, but, you know, as a director, I understand now you have to frame these people and you put them in places where it will look good on the screen. You know, so Ondra, yeah, you definitely, you know what you're doing, and you can tell that. I mean, you can see from Squadron that there's a certain professional quality to every shot, and I now know what that looks like. And I also know that from a camera perspective and also from a photography perspective, one of the things we say, I'm a photographer, not really a videographer, but I'm sure that there's some aspects that are similar. But a person who is just a regular, average person taking a photograph looks at the center of the frame. And an actual photographer never looks at the center. They always look at the edges. So if you want to take a better photograph, don't look at the center. You don't care who's in the center. You don't want the head centered. You want the head up here. So you don't want to waste, all this sky above or whatever. You want, interesting stuff. So, to have an eye for composition, Andra, it definitely comes through. And the lighting, I think, the lighting works as well. You can see as the bridges change that even just that little bit of lighting, I know which bridge I'm on. But you are also, because as a director of photography, you're not just lighting in terms of color, you're lighting the characters. And so, also, and there were some dark shots, shots where you go to red alert. There's shots where you're dealing with people whose skin color is green or blue or whatever. I'm sure that those created different challenges for you as you're just moving the lights around, right?
Yeah, the lights was one of the most challenging thing, in my opinion, because the budget was pretty low. I had some budget on every weekend we were shooting, so I had to cut a lot of things. With a bigger budget, we could, afford more lights, better lights, and also the camera and everything. So I moved on, and I was thinking about how to do that the best way we can do. So problem was that many of the lights was already built in, so you cannot move them. So basically we were how will I say it?
You were more covering the lights than adding them.
Yeah. It's at the start we wanted to make it, we wanted more light to not be that dark, and then we turn off the lights, and I saw the red alert lights. I was like, let's make it a little bit darker, let's make it different. So at the end the lights wasn't so problematic. So
there's really one important thing to add, because people imagine that there's a lot of people on the film set, and even if you look, for example, on behind the scenes of Axanar, there's so many people, running around and working on that. But we don't have this kind of luxury. So our team was maybe Teresa will help, was quite small, so some people were doing multiple things, which in the movie industry doesn't happen. How many people were on the set, Teresa? I mean, in terms of the crew?
Depends which day you mean, because the biggest day where we were shooting all those crews, that there were, I think, over 20, 25 people at once. But usually it was around 10, 15 max, I would say 10.
That leaves 5 people for the crew, right? Not for the crew of the ship, but I mean for the shooting crew.
Yeah, because you have 5 people in front of the camera.
Yeah, but okay, on the set, because if you count really just the set, then 5 up to 10 definitely, from 3 to 6, 8, and I count even the guys behind the doors for the turbo lift to let it open, of course. They are not really on the set, they are behind, but I count them.
Now, once you finished production, it was time for editing, right? Did you have everything that you need? First of all, I don't know when were you actually producing and filming this? What months? Because I think it was mostly before Corona, right?
You mean producing?
Filming in production.
Filming, shooting, really.
Yes, shooting.
Yeah, it was just, now it's actually almost exactly 2 years ago. It was 2019 February we started to shoot. So it was during the weekends and up to April. And then we also shoot in June in Prague, like the first scene. It was in one hotel.
So then when everything was in the can, then did you start editing immediately, or were you waiting for a little bit to get started on cutting everything together?
We started just after we wrapped the shooting, right? I guess. I'm not sure. It's
we didn't hurry because we were dependent on the CGI, which was like our biggest how to say it, I don't know to say issue, but like a delay, because it's like problematic.
Yeah, we'll get to the CGI in a little bit. By the way, we get to Jacob, we'll get to the CGI.
So definitely we didn't hurry, and Ondra was also busy. So I recall just after the summer, even we were like preparing the first rough cut, the choosing the scenes and put them just all in one line, and then Ondra like make the first versions, because we needed them actually even for the CGIs, because like Pavel, then even later after campaign, Sam just of course needed to see at least basics what they are going to like work with. So during the fall, I think there was the first rough cut.
The rough cut. How many different cuts did you ultimately have before getting to your locked edit?
Ondra?
I think we have, there are not scenes that we are not using. I think we are using everything that we shot, that there's nothing unused. Or are they?
One scene we had to like put off. It was with the Jem'Hadars, because we realized it's nowhere to put it in the scene, because during the cuts of the scenes we realized it make no sense, because Jem'Hadar is there like saying three ships in are closing, but they were they were already there, so they made no sense. So we had to cut this one, and from the other scenes, they're just cuts. I know sometimes few sentences and such, but this is the only scene that we really had to pull it out.
Yeah, so basically you have just one version of the cut, which we are, developing and making it to the final.
How many takes did you have for each scene? Were you just like one or two takes and you're good, or were there ones where you were like doing it 6 or 10 or 15 times before you got it right? Or was it
depends, but I think the least was 3 in some really short cases, because there were even yes, Admiral or something, or we put like take one shot where people say just, I don't know, 10 times in a row. And the biggest or the highest number is I think is 18 or 19, but it was just one scene because I was not able to speak. It was really long for me. It was me actually, but I had the time because the other guys were in
wasn't that the Nixon quote?
Sorry?
Wasn't that the Nixon quote?
No. It was the one when I'm sitting and talking to Admiral Nansen about the negotiation with the government. So
that was
partially because I had the time, so I was like more playing with that. But otherwise, it was around 8-10 usually.
Yeah, and sometimes it was on me, because we had the vision how to make a shot, but sometimes I was not sure, so I changed the movement of the camera. So that's the one that we sometimes took like 3 another shots from a different perspective, or we used a different movement of the camera. So
now I do have to say, Teresa, you're acting as a Vulcan, which I know it sounds almost like a contradiction in terms, but Uh, Vulcans don't really act. But the fact is that, you know, you pulled it off. You pulled it off amazingly well. It's not easy to play a Vulcan. A lot of people do it wrong. You know, their way of playing a Vulcan is basically to just talk like this without blinking, staring straight ahead, just pausing, and that's not Vulcan. You know, that's just boring. And you added an amazing dimension to Plur. And I know I joked early on, you know, that there was a certain sexiness in it, but you were a totally sexy Vulcan, alluring. And now we're going to finally get to Yana. You've been waiting there so patiently. I keep looking over at you, and you just keep smiling, and like you're happy to be here. And we're not talking to you, you poor girl.
It's fine. I'm just happy to I'm happy to be here. So, and I agree with everything what the guy said. And you know, the production was so amazing then for me to witness it, because it was my very first time in a production like this or anything to do with like the Czech Trekkies. So I was really impressed. That's why I'm just sitting here like grinning or smiling, because I'm just like, I've been part of that.
Not only you're a major part of it. And so I wanted to talk about the interpretations of these two characters, because, you know, you had the two males, you know, that were definitely, you know, in a testosterone fight of DeSantis and Nansen. But then you also had the two women, very, very powerful female characters, very strong female characters. With, I mean, I don't know, Teresa, if you were going for the sexual tension, but it was there to, you know, me almost wondering, you know, are you Yana, are you Irina, you know, trying subtly to seduce this person? I mean, maybe I'm completely off on this, but I was kind of reading it like that. Was that on purpose, or am I just, you know, watching this the wrong way?
Oh, I wasn't really going for that directly myself on the set, but when I got into Irina, when I got into character, just like sort of like very naturally just like seeped in with the costume, with the lighting, with the entire like mood of the set. It's sort of just like it came into it. And yes, I was trying to sort of in even how the text was written, you know, I was mocking her in a way. I was trying to assert my dominance not only over the ship itself, but also over like the captain. And I was really trying to overpower the scene with that. So maybe it came read over like that, because it was also for me, it was like this sense of really showing who's like dog on the ship. And Terka was amazing. She really, as you said, she did the Vulcan so well that I was just reacting off of her. Even like those small expressions she had during my long monologue in the captain's room, it just came so naturally thanks to that, I think. So this was in my it was in my head. And also because when Jan came over to me and he said like he offered me the role of Irina, and he basically said like, hey, I believe you can be the B word. You know, you can really be the B word in this, which is like, I'm not usually like that in my real life. So this was just like, okay, well, let it flow, let it go, let it flow.
Well, let's talk about your real life, you know, because I know that you're a costumer, you're a cosplayer, correct, as well? You know, so you're very involved in the fan community. Have you done any acting before this?
Yeah, in school plays.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Well, in school plays, and I also, because I do cosplay, I engage in role play. I like to personify my characters like to the core. So that's where it comes from. And I guess I've always been like inclined towards this stuff. So
because I mean, you and Teresa, you knocked it out of the park. I mean, I have to say, the two of you together, those scenes are totally mesmerizing. And you know, I thought that I mean, I didn't even ask you, Teresa. Teresa, do you have acting experience?
Oh, not really. Just as I mentioned, just from the diplomacy one role and some slight little theater time.
Because honestly, because a lot of times, you know, you see in fan films, you know, and I have I don't know if you guys, you know, has spent too much time on Fan Film Factory, but I have what I call the prime directive of Star Trek fan films, and there's two rules. Rule number one: There's no such thing as a bad Star Trek fan film. Rule number 2, if you see a bad Star Trek fan film, refer back to rule number 1. And so, you know, I'm very supportive of Star Trek fan films, but I'm not blind to them. You know, I know a lot of times that there are fans that just, you know, they were never trained to act. So they're just, you know, they're fans playing in Star Trek and playing in the sandbox. You guys were just in your roles, you know. So Jana, I could feel you as a Vorta. So I figured, you know, you had some acting experience and you were really thrown in. And no, you just got into it. You was like, you know, put on the ears and that was it, huh?
It was. Thank you very much. Yes, it was it. But I guess that's also because I always played the villains, like in school plays. I don't know. It's something about that energy that even like Jan like saw in me, and also the character was like really well written. I was pretty impressed at the first read already. You know, I know I'm like Jan. We know each other. We are friends, and I did enjoy. I did make very tiny little adjustments to my text sometimes if I needed to get it, you know, out of my mouth a bit better. But it was just so well written from the beginning. I knew what to do. And although I grew up on the new generation, Voyager, so I had some catching up to do with the Vortas. But Jan was so kind of, you know, like to show me the relevant episodes, you know. So I've really got the sense of them, and also the costume and the clothing did a lot.
That's right. Now, how long did it take you to get into makeup? That was pretty elaborate, all of that stuff you were wearing on your face.
Yeah, it was amazing for once, but I think it took about like an hour something. Well, the ears went on pretty quickly because they fit snugly. It was just like to do the edges, to do the edges properly. Then came in the makeup, which was the lady doing it. Dada, she's an ex. She was good at it. She really went for it, and I looked amazing. And then we did the wig styling, so that went in pretty fast. So I was definitely in the chair less hours than my fellow Jem'Hadars who were there like from the morning. I sort of like rolled in with my coffee, you know, hello, I'm here. And then I sat there, I think hour and a half tops, because the crew, the makeup crew, they just worked so efficiently.
Teresa, how did you find the makeup crew for this? Because you obviously had a really good makeup crew. I mean, you're Jem'Hadar, you're Andorian.
Karel even found a team for him, like, so the Dada, or there was actually one more girl to help, and they did really good job from the early morning. They were on set at 5 in the morning, really. So first Jem'Hadar arrived at 5:30 even. So they started with him, then they had to move to another. They like put it together between they're waiting for some stuff. I don't know, I was not there all the time, but they make up in Rena, also me, because we were usually all together. So it was very fantastic to watch them as much as I was able to. And you know, this is something they would be talk about like themselves. It's pity they are not here, because it would take hours to talk about like Bible.
Yeah, so makeup. Yeah, I've heard Michael Westmore talking about, you know, his work on Star Trek: The Next Generation and everything, and yeah, the intricacy.
Even I just realized that even the trails dots, you know, it was Dada who made them. She really took the pictures, and she was trying to because the girl who was the trail was on set 3 times altogether. So she really was trying to do them as exact as possible. And I think she did a really good job.
And then once you have that makeup on, by the way, I was in a fan film once many years ago, a Hidden Frontier episode, where I had to play the space alien, and I had stuff. It looked a little Kardashian-ish, but I wasn't quite a Kardashian. But you can't touch your face. And you don't ever realize how often you just touch your face just for like little things every so often, and you literally can't. And it's like torture. It's like you have an itch you can't scratch for 16 hours or however long you're in makeup, and it's crazy.
I remember the lunch break when the Jem'Hadar were trying to eat burrito.
Which is what?
Burrito.
Oh, burrito. Oh, okay.
Burrito, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like
You
some
were
Czech,
funny.
some Czech, thing. No, burrito. You're talking about an actual, Spanish burrito.
You see,
remember-
Yeah.
Carol, the guy who made the masks, he had a good practice because of me, because he started to do the masks prior to diplomacy, and I don't know why, but I always ended up as an alien, and it was his first attempts, So the first one he did was a Ferengi, So he made a Ferengi head. It weighed like about 20 kilos, and you had it on for like 12, 15 hours, so you couldn't hear, you couldn't breathe. It was absolutely terrible. And
Yeah,
then
you played
when we
Quark
started,
once, right? You played.
yeah,
You
I
played
played
Quark.
Quark.
Yeah.
And then when we started diplomacy, I again was that blue alien, and I don't remember the race. Benzite. It was a Benzite.
Benzite.
Yeah, and it was the same shit all over again, even with more stuff, because you had a long finger there. You had also the little kind of like a little mustache,
Yeah, that upper
made
lip
out
thing
of
with
like
the
a
two.
fake skin, and I was always playing with it like that with my tongue, It was
I
funny for
remember
everyone, but the pain was coming off. It's funny. Yeah, so he had a lot of experience with me where he tried all ways how to torture someone. It was absolutely the worst experience of my life, because when I got off the makeup, it was like, the nose was red, and I had it was really bleed nearly plasters and stuff. So the guys who had the makeup for the main villains in Squadron, they had an easy job compared to that, because Carol really got great in whatever he does.
But they
remember-
suffered anyway, and I think Jana will confirm as well with the ears. It's like when every time, because I think, how many times did you wear them? 2, 3 times? Two times.
I wore them twice. Yeah.
Twice.
They were slightly on the heavier side, but Carol made this contraption where there was like string works that they would tie it underneath my wig, so they would decrease the strain of the prosthetics. So that came okay, but like towards the end of the day, I really did feel it on my ears, because it was like an exact mold of my ears, so they had to fit inside exactly, which they did. I didn't hear everything. Like you could whisper, I wouldn't hear you.
I was going to ask, did you hear through those things? I guess you could hear like a little bit muffled, or
I heard, yeah, it was muffled, so people had to be a bit loud around me, but it was fine. And yeah, well, I tried during this, when I didn't shoot a scene, I tried to just sit and like not talk, not move, so nothing would come apart, but it was really well glued on. To be honest, we actually had a hard time getting it off. It's like trying to pull it off.
Alrighty, so moving on to the last head on my screen at the bottom there, and the last thing that there's two things we really haven't talked about yet, which is one, funding this, which is obviously Jakub's thing, and also the visual effects, which I know a little bit about, because Jakub and I were actually talking about the crowdfunding when we were also then talking about the visual effects, and I was actually the person who introduced you to Samuel Cockings.
That's right. That's correct. Yeah.
And he knocked it out of the park as well. I mean, I think everything Sam does. Samuel Cockings is the Quetzalcoatl of visual effects for Star Trek fan films. And for those people who don't know Frank Herbert's Dune, the Quetzalcoatl is a person who can be at all places at once. And it does seem like Samuel Cockings is in all fan films at once. I don't even want to start listing how many fan films. It's shorter to list how many fan films he hasn't worked on. But we put you in touch with him, and I know everybody's supposed to be an amateur, unpaid, not professional on a fan film. But the thing is that when it comes down to visual effects, that is just so time consuming that people can't do it for free. It's like, I don't think CBS expects you to order pizza and have the pizza delivery guy give it to you for free. You have to pay certain people. But the fact is that, Samuel is amazingly affordable to the point where you were able to get an amazing number of visual effects based on your crowdfunding. So with all of that, Jakub, let's talk a little bit about the crowdfunding, because you were one of the most effective fundraisers I have seen in fan films in a very, very long time. So can you talk a little bit about that?
When we started, like, years ago, Diplomacy, I went to this project for only one reason. I wanted to try crowdfund. I wanted to try to do the marketing campaign internationally because, like, I'm a marketeer. I do marketing for a living, like, and I think I'm pretty good at it because I make money out of it. And I used to be marketing and PR manager for PlayStation, so for kind of Central Europe. So I think I had a good experience, but it was something different. So when we started with doing fan films, I really had this goal. Unfortunately, because of unforeseen reasons, that didn't happen with Diplomacy. So we said, okay, I want to do it on this project, and we also do need money. That probably falls to Terka because she was the person who funded like 99% of the initial cost of the project, and it wasn't really small money. Like, I don't know how much was it, Terka? It was like 6, 8, 10K in dollars. Yeah, probably about 10K dollars.
It's still a bit rising, but it's around 80,000 crowns, around
More.
maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, it was
80,000 crowns. Okay, I don't know what crowns are. I could do that in euros.
Doesn't matter. It's about 5,000 to 6,000 US dollars that Terka pretty much put there from her own pocket. And
that was just when you were doing the filming, the shooting, the production of it.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get involved until post-production. Okay, so that's, first of all, Teresa, amazing. That you've been able to put up so much of your own money to that. That shows a lot of love and dedication to this. But of course, that's what fan films are all about. But back to you, Jakub. So you now were up to post-production and you needed more money.
We knew from day one that we won't be able to do all the CGI by ourselves. Like, we had a team consisting of 2 guys from Czech, Pavel and
Jan.
Yeah, Pavel and Jan.
His nickname is Walter.
They have certain amount of time to do them. So we knew we have to crowdfund that. So that's why our crowdfunding was focused mostly on covering the cost of CGI. And thanks to you, we met Samuel, and he kind of helped us to make this happen. And like, probably without him, we wouldn't be able to finish it in a timely fashion as we did. So it was great and tremendous help. And of course, we had to pay him some money, but we don't see a problem with that. And we also used some money from the crowdfund for marketing and stuff. Yeah, so it was probably the main reason to do the crowdfund and to do it the way we did it.
And you were very, I want to say again, very prolific in it. You did your crowdfunder the way that crowdfunding campaigns should be done. And I try to tell people this when they're going to try to crowdfund. You don't just turn on the lights and expect people to find it. There was a movie in America called Field of Dreams, and there's this person, the main character, Kevin Costner, gets whispered into his ear, if you build it, they will come. If you build this baseball field in the middle of your cornfield, people will just come. And at the end of the movie, they did. Well, that's not true about crowdfunders. I mean, unless you really, have ways to tap people into it and market it, if you just turn on the lights, they're not going to necessarily come. So you did exactly what you're supposed to do. You ramped up to it. You had a whole bunch of stuff in the months leading up to it saying Squadron is coming, the crowdfunder for Squadron is coming. And then once you were there, you had 30 days or I don't remember, was it 30 days or 60 days of crowdfunding your campaign?
Well, 60 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, the way we wanted to do it, like, was before we started, and it could be a good help for anyone who wants to do a crowdfund. Before we started, like, we already we sent out a press release, we contacted you and Alec and many people, like, the only thing, and really one thing which I was kind of really sorry about, was that, like, for example, there are many servers, which are dedicated to Star Trek in general, and none of them supported us. None of them even replied. And that was really, really disappointing for me. And I said it all the time, but we get a great support from you, from the guys from Axonar and other people on the internet. So we kind of started really early building up to it with, we had a really long social media plan. We had all the videos ready, photos, thanks to Michal. And we also did a 3D kind of walkthrough of the bridge, you know, something new to give to people. Yeah, so we did that, and then we kind of after the campaign, it curved down, and then before the release again, like, you know, now we're releasing for past 60 days, one post each, putting it into groups and just getting it out there.
It did amazing. Now, ultimately, how much did you raise in American dollars in your crowdfunding campaign? I can't remember.
4,200, I think. I don't remember.
Okay.
But I think so, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll check that. We'll fix that in post. No, we won't.
Maybe even more.
I'll mention it in the blog somewhere, how much you raised. But anyway, it was successful enough that you were able to get the visual effects. Now, once Samuel was involved, I mean, you guys now have your final cut. Who was dealing with Samuel in getting him to do the shots that you needed to get done?
It's that
I
guy.
did.
That was Teresa. And so how were you communicating stuff to Sam, and how was he communicating back to you? Because a lot of people, you know, they watch the scenes, but they don't really know, how does a director say, okay, we need this to happen or this to happen? I mean, were you literally talking in a Zoom call and going like this with your hands, which is what I did with Lewis Anderson at some point when I was doing Interlude? I was literally saying, okay, we need a shot going like that. You know, or, you know, did you write it down? How did you communicate your needs to him?
Actually, from the beginning, even not only with Sam, but even with Pavel, who is the main guy for the CGI for the first part, then so it was more or less like the process was same. At the beginning, I said, look, I have some vision, but on the other hand, it's a fan film, and I, you know, want to learn on it, you enjoy it, you do it, especially Pavel, because he was doing it for free. So it was like, it's up to you. I just need to you know, specific things, because we will, I don't know, need to go this way, because then there is a shot in this way. So to the axis to fit and etc. And this has to happen here, because it's a key for the moment, etc., etc. But I didn't really design it how it should like. I would be able to. I offered that, and I had some pictures, you know, prepared, but it was actually not necessary, because even Sam, of course, I told him this and said, okay, no problem. He, of course, wanted to see the first rough cut, at least for the story to see. And I gave him the notes, like what it is about, what is in the scene, what is the key information, what is like the squadron consists of, you know, what to watch out, etc., etc. And then we were discussing the details like through the time, actually. So I don't know, I think he quite quickly had sent me the first previous versions. So it was quite quick, and I don't know, I think in 2 months he was done. We fit it in the cut again to double check it if everything is okay. And I think there was just one slight correction, nothing more like.
So ultimately, of all your visual effects, what percentage of it is Pavel, and what percentage is Sam?
It's hard to say, because, but it's 50-50. Well, first part is longer, but there is like small amount of the CGI scenes, but they are also a bit different, because there are more. There is one fight scene. Otherwise, there are some slower ones, or how to say it, like the peaceful ones also. And the second part is more dynamic, and there is more CGI, it's more battle and more specific. So I didn't count it for seconds, but even some has like shorter shots. So Pavel has like less shots, longer ones. So even I cannot count it on number of shots, but altogether it could be 50-50.
Okay, well, I was just kind of curious, because I was looking through it and I was just thinking to myself, okay, well, that's definitely a Sam shot, but I'm not sure about that one. And I'm like, oh, okay. But all right, so now you are done. Take a breath, take a bow, clap, clap, clap. What is next for you guys? Are you planning on making more fan films in the future, together or separately? Anybody can.
Maybe just one little thing about a crowdfund So in total, we made around $9,000,
Okay.
which was absolutely amazing amount. And it was really, really thanks to, there was a problem that we started and in the middle of our crowdfund, or at the beginning, I don't remember exactly, the corona virus started to spread.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
true.
Everything was affected by that, like, the internet, people saving money, etc., etc. But I must say that loads of people, including you and Alec, really helped us, and loads of people who donated to your production or XNR production really helped us to raise this amount, and we are really, really thankful for that, because without those guys, this would never happen. That's what we like to say. And regarding to the next project, we spoke with Teresa about it a couple of times, actually. The thing is that for some reasons, we want to do, if we would gonna do it, and it's always takes a certain person to start it. So I don't know, from all these guys we have here, like, who would take the responsibility and invest the time and money into it. I don't think that there's that many people who would want to do it. But from my side, I would love to do something, but I would love to do something completely different. So probably small production, meaning like, small crew, small amount of actors. So yes, probably in a future, I would love to do something, but it wouldn't be this year, and I think it might be next year. That would be me.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not going to be this year. I think there's not going to be a lot of stuff happening this year anyway, until the vaccine becomes more prolific.
But Teresa might have a different opinion. Maybe she wants to start this year shooting something. Teresa.
Well, it's always pre-production.
We all know that I also have ideas and something about how can we say it in live, like about, have ideas about definitely not a sequel. Just make it clear.
Okay,
It's
you don't need a
definitely not a sequel, But
no, you had a beginning, a middle, and an end. I think you're okay, and you killed off half your characters anyway, so more than half probably.
Yeah, but I think my one point is that we, of course, because of the guidelines, we cannot use the same characters, but we can have a new clone of the same Vorta.
Yeah, you could, and yeah, I definitely want to see that Vorta again. In any way, shape, or form. But anyway, yeah, the thing about the guidelines is there's so many fan quote unquote series out there. If you use some characters again, honestly, CBS isn't, I mean, look at Dreadnought Dominion, and Vance Major is using Menard over and over again. And the various Potemkin Pictures creative groups, they're trying not to call themselves fan series, but it's the same characters, it's the same ships. And honestly, I think CBS wanted to cover their asses. They wanted to say, okay, we've given the fans their guidelines, and now CBS is moving on. We've put out that fire. Let them have and play in their sandbox. And I think, this is me personally, I think that unless there is another Axanar other than Axanar, which has its own ability to be created because of the sequel, the settlement. But unless there's another Axanar where you get fans raising $500,000 or $1 million or whatever, and creating something of that ridiculous quality, I really think CBS has better things to do with their lives. And I have a number of readers who always comment every so often, CBS should really revise those fan film guidelines because they're too restrictive. I say, you know what, leave them alone, because the last thing we want is for CBS to wake up and notice us again. Because right now, they're concentrating all the various treks. There is licensing still happening. The less they have to, because the people working in licensing, they're not being paid to deal with the fans. They're not being paid to deal with fan filmmakers. They're being paid to deal with licensees. And that's a big business. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, millions of dollars a year. So they don't care about fan filmmakers for the most part. Unless we start getting too big for our britches. And right now, you guys are not too big for your britches. You're doing exactly what CBS was hoping, which was making very nice fan film internationally. I mean, I think it's amazing that so much quality Star Trek fan films are coming out of Europe, and that's not just America anymore.
Yeah, we're actually this close to start shooting another movie last year, I think around this time, because Honza wrote an amazing script, kind of to my liking, which I wanted really to make. You know, it was the kind of Khan, Radov Khan thing, and all of the staff actually were there, except I think, well, I think most of us were there, and we already had some props. You know, we bought some props. You know, we were in pre-production, but with the coronavirus and everything and some other aspects, we just had to pull out because, like, you know, it was like the initial cost was around $10,000, and we weren't just ready, you know, to put it in and hope for the best. You know, probably it will work out. It might not. So yeah, so we wanted to shoot something again, but like, you know, it's good that we didn't, because I think that we would be crying out loud now that it's whatever happened with the coronavirus and everything. It really affected that. So this movie I would love to happen because Honza wrote an amazing script, but probably it will never will, and it will stay somewhere hidden in his closet.
Oh well, there's other ways to get things out. There's audio
Another Hollywood
plays and-
experience for you. Yeah, like only about 20% of screenplays ever get produced. You know, and that's
that is true. That's true. I'm a
Hollywood screenwriters. They live with it. They're okay with it.
No, yeah, you just keep trying. I am a walking Hollywood stereotype in that I actually have a screenplay. I've never been able to sell, but it's there. It's called The Uncertainty Principle. It will never be made, but I had to write it. It's there.
Even the big screenwriters who sell their scripts, the scripts don't get produced anyway. You know,
Yeah.
because for many production companies, it's just easier to buy the script for $1 million and then
sit on it.
Have it just for the sake of it.
Exactly. Well, anyway, I do want to, at this point, it's almost midnight for you poor folks in Czech. So I want to let you get back to your regularly scheduled lives and your quarantine and your curfew, but you're all safely at home. I do want to thank you once again for both your time tonight as well as for making this amazing fan film. I'm going to let you guys say one final thing, whatever it is you might want to say to people who are watching this. Let's go in the opposite order of the way that we went it. So, Jakub, let's start with you. Anything you want to say to your many fans?
Well, I really hope that who saw the fan film really loves it and likes it, and we will be really grateful if you leave some comments on our Facebook page, because the feedback from fans is always the best thing for any producer, actor, anyone who makes something. And I really
the good feedback.
Yes, of course. And we really hope to do something again and bring everyone on board who's going to be interested. Yeah.
All right, Jana, would you like to give a message to what I'm sure are going to be a whole new group of fans for you?
Well, Jakub said it well, and I really do hope that people enjoyed what we made, and they will keep enjoying it. Maybe perhaps like play once again, you know, and maybe we'll become a drinking game eventually or something like that. Like good stuff, good things, positive feedback. Otherwise, constructive criticism is always very welcome. And and you know, I really hope that we make people smile, even like in those hard times of the corona. Is really, you know, pulls the thorn out of somebody's side and makes them enjoy the day a bit more. So that's what we were, you know, all productions were like aiming for. So I hope that happens, and people like it, people enjoy it, and it will give us, the comments will give us energy to go on and perhaps make something new.
Awesome. All right, Andra, up to you.
It's hard to be, you know, in my position, because everyone before me said it pretty well. But I hope that you guys gonna enjoy it, because it's a lot of time in that. It was the first time experience for a lot of us on a set, and I think we enjoyed the moments on the set, and I enjoyed it. It was pretty big experience for me, because I never did something big like that. I never had so much responsibility, because of I was, you know, in many different I was doing many different things on the set, so it was pretty good experience for me. And also, I was always making, videos and things for my own enjoyment and also to entertain people. So I hope that it will entertain people as well. And also, I hope that I hit the mood of the Star Trek, because I'm more like fan of the Star Wars, so it's different. It's different universe. So I hope that there is some kind of the space feel and those things in the movie.
There's space for both franchises. How about that?
Yeah, and the last thing, it's different one. I know that no fan film and also no movie in a cinema looks like that. So I hope that the difference between everything and all the movies I have ever seen about the Star Trek, that it's not the wrong way. I hope that the difference is the way. This is the way.
Perfect answer. And Teresa, now you are a first-time director successfully. So, congratulations on that. Any words that you would like to give to the fans and or to other potential prospective directors who are doing this for the first time?
Probably just one thing. If you want to do something like that, be lucky as me and surround yourself with such good people and perfect team as I have.
Aww.
Because it's everything.
Yay for Yana. All righty. And Mika? Or Mikal, sorry.
Well, Teresa, the perfect team was your doing completely, because you were able to put all those people together, and you communicated with everyone, and you just, you just put the whole crew together. So it's your doing. So the thing that it worked is on you. You made it work. So thanks to you for that. And to the people, I hope you liked it. It was a blast. It was an amazing experience to be part of Squadron. And I hope I would be able to be a part of some next project again sometime. So hopefully, I hope you liked it.
And last but not least, Jan, who started this whole thing in his mind.
So I agree with everything that was said before me, and I said that for a writer, it's really amazing to see something you've written be turned into big screen. And I honestly got goosebumps when Teresa was quoting on War as her character Teplur in the scene. And so I got goosebumps when she was doing that. And even I wrote it, I still got goosebumps. So it was just an amazing experience. And I echo what everyone else was saying. I hope we get to do something like this again.
Well, I hope so too. I don't speak any Czech, but how do you say thank you in Czech?
Děkuji.
Děkuji?
Děkuji.
All right. Well, I want to say a big děkuji to all of you for your time, for this amazing fan film. And I want to give you a round of applause because you did an amazing job. So thank you all. And I hope the world turns back to normal again and I can come to Prague and I can give you all big hugs and be able to thank you all in person. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too.